Yeah. I love it. I really get it. And I think it's super, it's cute. I'm just gonna move on. Cute. So who's got something they want to talk about?
I mean, gratitude wise?
Here you go.
It's not just open mic, Peter.
Be grateful for the company Keller Williams and for this market center. We all have choices of other places to go, and we probably had been trying to get us to go other places, but I've been here a long time, and I'm just grateful for everything that we have.
Hey. Thank you for that very much. Thank you. Sometimes it's a tough job on this end too. And so I appreciate I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, who else has got some gratitude they want to share? Peter,
Come on.
Or
Give me the mic. Lisa took mine.
listen, you can say nice stuff about me.
Actually, that's what I was gonna say is Nick, I appreciate all you've been doing. And even the personal touch. I see him talking with a lot of people in here. Not just on a business level, but a personal. And so my gratitude is for him.
I appreciate that. Anybody else? I'm grateful that inventory is going up. Right. I'm grateful, legitimately, I'm grateful for Bold. I know we talk a lot about Bold, and I know that Bold can be a difficult topic because it causes people to move into transition. It causes you to take a look at your habits, your activities, and the life that you have, and you can make a choice to get what you want. I think that's what I like about Bold, and that's what I'm grateful for this week. I was also grateful for the fact that the Milton did not do, I mean, there was a lot of damage, but there could have been a lot more, and there could have been a lot of people hurt. On the call earlier today, one of the team leaders down there, they lost their market center. They're gonna have to rebuild the market center, their home and their church, in this latest round. So, and they were still out helping everybody. So that's why I love what KW represents, because this person doesn't have a home, a church, the school is not going to be inhabited, and they don't have anywhere to go to work, and they're still trying to help people figure out where they're going to live during this process, and so that's pretty awesome. I'd have to go back to my notes, but it's just up that Asheville.
Oh, North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, just outside, they said the name, but in North Carolina, and it was crazy to see the amount of damage that you've seen there. So thank you guys for that. We made a really big impact this week at KW Cares. I think last week 750 generators are out.
Yeah.
Those are just, and like 600,000 bottles of water. And we went right in place. We moved in even before FEMA in some cases, just because we can mobilize a little bit quicker because we're not a government entity. And so we did, when we were able to get down there and really help our people. As of Monday's call, we had no wait on Zoom.
It was crazy because at the beginning of the call, they were like, there's 5 people we haven't heard from. And then 4 minutes, 10 minutes later, like, we're down to 1 person.
Yeah.
And she was like, we found them all.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Right? It's just being able to connect to the people that were there and our people. That's pretty special. And again, this has nothing to do with real estate, but it has everything to do with real estate at the same time. And so I'm grateful for that. All right, guys, moving on. Let's I got somebody else here.
To what you were saying, it's a kind of a KW community thing. I had worked with these people that I believe they were an odd couple team house. I worked with Sonia, the pack to help clear out some stuff, met them for a few days while helping. They moved to Florida and lost everything. They just moved a month ago, moved in, their entire house is gone, all their cars, all their stuff. Literally every single thing, but because of the connections that they made through KW and all the partners and everything, they're being completely taken care of. They're sent a smiley picture in a hotel and just happy as can be still. They're just taking it as it is, but it's because of the community that they made and through the help of agents and other people that we know, and it's just, I'm grateful for stuff like that, even though it's very indirect, they still send it to Sonia to send to us because they knew us.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing that people can be taken care of easily because they know us.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
That's great, Tom. Very cool. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, brother. All right. I would like my buddy Mark to come on up. All right.
Hey, would you mind helping me? Yeah, you mind?
I'll have those out.
Let's, how am I doing?
Teamwork makes the dream
Oh
work.
my goodness. All right, so Nick's gonna pass these out. Is this the guy?
Yeah, yeah, fine.
So what we're handing out is well, this is a really fascinating read, let me tell you. It's from the Minnesota Bar Association, and it was in the Benson Bar magazine. So you know, this is coffee table material right here. It actually was all about all the new changes from the Minnesota, our lawmakers made about contract and deed. So follow on what, Clyde was here to talk about. And I got this from our underwriter, from, Old Republic. And so, you know, everything was changed on August first, and yet, forms still are not out in October 15th. But hey, I just thought you should, know what changes were made, and here you have it, right here. So I'm not gonna read it to you, you get to read it on your own. But it might be just, you know, a little bit more than you want to know, but at least you know what kind of changes were made. So just thought I'd hand that out to you. And then everybody who signed up for Bold was given one of these, just for signing up, right? So we said if you sign up for Bold, you get a gift certificate like this. It's $100 off on any listing for your client on the sales side, or $200 off on the buy side. So you've committed to Bold for 6 weeks. Congratulations. That's the first step. Committing to Bold for 6 weeks means that you're gonna really commit to changing yourself, you can change your business, and then helping your client. This is a great opportunity to build your business for the fourth quarter and really grow in your business in 2025. That's a huge commitment. And so Pillar is committing to every time you get a listing for a sales side, or anytime you get a listing for a buy side, you get one of these. So if you get 20 listings, you're gonna get 20 of these for your clients, right? So they have an opportunity, you have an opportunity, your clients are gonna get an opportunity to win the situation. It's a win-win-win. So go out there and get as many listings as you can. If we can Bold, we're gonna get you 1 week every time. Have a great 6 weeks of Bold. Thanks, guys.
All right. I'm good at doing anything super.
Okay, great. All right, guys. So if you don't know, we're having our trick or treat event here on October 29th. I keep wanting to say 29th, Tuesday. We did extend the hours a little bit for 7. So what we're gonna do is we're doing a office trick or treat event. Invite your clients, have them bring their kiddos. We'll have offices, everyone's gonna be decorating, there'll be a contest. Categories. There'll be some events there for the kids, we're gonna do a little scavenger hunt for them, we'll have games, snacks, all fun stuff. And they get to go door to door, trick or treat, grab some candy, or some opportunities for you guys to hang out with them. Love them.
I am the ghost of uncalled meetings. Be here on the 20th, can't read through this. We're gonna. I can't see from here to there. I'm on call leave. I can call people, I can help them out, and we're gonna be doing that on. Ran all the way up there. All right. We'll hear stuff. All right. For the love of everything scary, you guys, this is a really cool opportunity for you to show up, have your clients come out, We're gonna be giving away candy. We're gonna have treats and snacks here, and we just moved the time, we let them know. My gratitude. Grateful for the button being closed. Seriously, guys, this is an easy way for you to set up. The kids can come here, we're gonna have fun. I'll be sharing them. We have candy, which is what kids really want, so come on down and participate. On that day, we're gonna have a good time. We'll run it a little bit later that day. So enjoy yourself, come out, invite your clients and hang out with some people. I promise not to run anything today. Hurricane I appreciate her reaching out for this, you guys. Really quick, really simple. We give away, giving monies away, we're giving, we're donating money. This is a really good opportunity for you to do some easy stuff, non-perishable food items. I'm not gonna go through all of it. Personal care items, soap, toothpaste, deodorants of small amounts. You can go out and give them. We're gonna be shipping them down as one of the other shipments that's going down. So PW Hudson is also doing this. That Alina had jumped in and was doing it out there. So in Hudson. So here it is, you guys. We appreciate you, Colleen, for jumping on and taking some initiative with this. So thank you for that. All right, so this next person, no, in all seriousness, I promise not to talk any garbage. No, Rachel is not going to be the first person to tell you this, but some of the agents that she's been around, Coach, she was one of the lead admin, team leader for one of the bigger teams that was at Keller Williams, one of the bigger teams in productions in Minnesota. She stepped into a place with a lot of agents of knowing where your business is, and more specifically, teaching you how to plan, teaching you how to grow, teaching you how to hire. And some of her mentees have gone on to produce at an incredibly high level, 60, 70, 80 units as individual agents. So you guys, warm welcome for our very own Rachel Pavlov.
Hey, let me use this. I'm not wearing that, no. Okay, so we're gonna talk about how to make money in 2025, because money and five, right, but 2020 and money too, get it? Okay, what are we were trying to find a title for this Friday afternoon, and somebody came up with that, I was like, so what I really want to talk about, we're not going to do business planning right now. We're going to really talk about how do you best prepare for business planning. I think one of the things that I have seen happen time and time again is people walk into business planning about money thought, and you're like, okay, how much money do you want to make this year? And they're like, 100,000, 200, and they throw this number, right? And it doesn't sink in and mean something to you. It doesn't matter, right? We need something, a business plan that you're truly tied to, that has meanings to your goals and where you want to be in life. And so this, I thought, was a great quote, the 5 Ps: proper preparation prevents poor performance. Talk about a tongue twister. And so we're going to talk about the way to prepare for your business planning. Hopefully you already know there's regional business planning this Thursday. It's going to be at the Maple Grove office. We've got a great speaker coming in to do that. And then we're also doing a local one here with a great lineup. Maple Grove from Minnetonka. It's moved to Maple Grove. It went from Maple Grove to Cedars Hall to Minnetonka, to Maple Grove. So it's just all over the place.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Exactly. Like, how many people are going to show up? Not enough for Cedars Hall. Let's go here. Nope, not many people showed up. Let's go here. Anyways, there you go. So we'll be at Maple Grove on Thursday. I think there's 6 seats left. If you still want to get in there. So okay, so here's a few things that I want to make sure that you know how to prepare. One, does everybody know that they have a multi-year trend? Have you ever heard the term multi-year trend? See some nodding head. Okay, good. If you don't know, next slide for me really quick. This is how you get there. So take a picture of this. If you don't know how to get to your multi-year trend.
You've seen them before, staff also have access to these, you just to help print them, do that. But, as Todd always tells us, we like numbers because numbers tell us a story, and your multi-year trends are a great tool. So whether you've been in the business for a year, you know, been a year, you've been in business for 12 years, your market years, multi-year trends are gonna tell you a lot of things. So this has all of the numbers that KW puts together for you. So you didn't enter any of this other than submitting commission stuff. This tells you your closed units, closed volume, listings taken, contracts written, how many buy sides, what's the listing size. It can be very helpful to know where you've been to figure out where you're headed. But what I like to do when we look at this is, what was your best year in real estate? Right? Was it last year? Was it 4 years ago? Was it 5 years ago? Was it 12 years ago? And what did that year look like? Right? Or was it this past year? Right? If this past year is your best year in real estate, let's really look back and see, how do we do that? But what did the best year in real estate look like for you, and how did that? Because I've heard both ways, right? My best year in real estate was exciting and it was awesome, and it was great. And I've heard my best year in real estate was burnout. Right, because they didn't have leverage in place, were working too hard, were not seeing their family, and then the next year was not their best year again, right? And so really paying attention to what does that look like? What does consistency in the business look like? So I don't know who we're looking at here, we whited it out, which is good. This person's having a pretty consistent business, right? But there are holes, and the one that I pulled here, there's some holes. So what did business look like? You know, and if business hadn't happened for 3 months, what were you doing for the 3 months prior? How do you look into focusing on what were your activities ahead of time? Or when was the really successful quarter that you had, and what were you doing the 90 days prior to that? Because let's keep repeating those things to make sure that that's in place. So focusing on what your years have felt like, and how to either duplicate that or make some adjustments so that you don't run into that again if that wasn't a positive experience. Is a big focus here. So any questions or any takeaways anybody else has from when they look at their multi-year trends? Does anybody look at these on a regular basis? Peter does. Any like takeaways for them? Oh, sorry. I'm closer.
Take away,
Like when you look at your multi-year trend, like what do you look for when you're looking at your multi-year?
number I look at. The number I look at the most is the number of units.
Ah.
Because everything else goes around that. And, you know, because our volume has been up the last 2 years.
Yep.
Units are
Naturally.
down.
Right.
So our goal is to get those units back up to increase our income.
I think that's a really great point, because there are things to increase your sales price, right? You can market to different areas, and there's certainly people who run the average sales price is higher than others. At the end of the day, our control is really over the units, right? Because you're probably not gonna turn down a buyer who's looking for a $300,000 house, right? If you're looking for a sales price of $750. But if you're looking at that unit count in the process, everything else. Anybody else, what do they look for in their multi-year trends?
100 maybe.
The other one I want to make sure people look at is some sort of budget. So KW has the Lifeline Design profit allocating your profit form. But knowing where your money is being spent, right? What does your monthly budget look like? What are your goals for how to spend your money? So when we talk about, you get to the economic model, and they're like, how much money do you want to make? And you just randomly throw out this number, right? That's not where we want to be. So spending some time knowing your budget, if you don't already, looking at all of your expenses, looking at what your monthly utilities look like, your car payments, any loans you may have, figuring out all of those things so you know what your have to make income is, and then also focusing on what is your want to make income. And when we talk about wanting to make that income, make it really mean something, right? Like I just want to take a trip. Okay, great. Where do you really want to go? And what is that going to be? And dig that in a few layers deep to show how important that is in your life if it's a vacation. I think sometimes we give these generic answers of things that sound great. If they don't have any meaning when they're going in stuff in your business, that want doesn't, right? It isn't strong enough to make you focus and keep looking through the parts of the business that maybe aren't as fun. Next slide. Okay, performance. Let's get into it. So I've taken business planning clinic a few times, and Matt Sutter did a great, in the front page, I didn't even bring my book with me. On one of the front pages in the business planning clinic, toolkit, they talk about tracking through your goals. So Gary has always told us people overestimate what they can do in a year, they underestimate what they can do in 5. So really focusing on what are your someday goals and working those back. And when Matt Sutter explained this, he talked about how you go from A to Z. So let's say you see a brand new agent, they're like, I'm gonna make $1 million. Okay, how are you gonna get there? Are you gonna get there in a year? I'm not gonna tell you you're not going to, more likely than not, that's not the case. But how do you get from, if you plan A to Z and Z isn't at $1 million, how do you get from A to Z this year? And what are the steps along the way that you need to get there? So tracking those things and working through that time is very important in the process. So just thinking through the steps of where do I want to be 5 years from now? And give yourself a really big goal there, right? Like that's okay to give yourself a really big goal there, but also know what has to happen in year 4, year 3, year 2, bring you down to year 1, and then looking at what your business is going to look like for 2025. The economic model, I think I have a slide in here for it. No. Okay, has anybody, was there a hyperlink? Is that the economic model hyperlink?
No.
Or planning, what was the call? Please. Okay, has everybody seen an economic model before? Yeah, okay, so essentially, you're going, you can see out in my memory and how many times I've done this. Okay, so you go GCI. And then you have to break that down to get to your net profit. So GCI, you got cost of sales and expenses. Everybody know what the difference between a cost of sale and an expense is?
Cost of sale comes out of the actual sale itself.
Yeah, a sale has to occur for it to be a cost. So if you don't sell any, there's expenses that are built in no matter what. If you have an admin and they have a salary, are they a cost of sale or are they an expense? Expense, because they're getting paid whether or not you're going to use. Market center cap, sale or expense. Cost of sale, does that make sense? So you want to make sure you account for those things. So in the MREA model, they talk about a 30-30-40. 30% of your GCI goes to cost of sale, 30% to expenses, 40% to net profit. I think that's the thing that's really important is that those percentages are basing on net $1 million. So if your business is not at $1 million yet, those percentages are not going to be quite right. But when you look in the MREA, they actually track it down all the way down to 6 million of how you vary the percentages. Because if you're making $200,000, I should have done 100 because that would be $100,000. So I can do some math, right? You're talking 30,000, 30,000, 40,000. And it's not going to be that high. You're not going to build in 60% expenses on that kind of income. So those percentages in this net profit will definitely go up. But this is where looking at your budget ahead of time to understand what your cost of sales and expenses look like, to know where your percentages could be, right? So if you made 100,000 this year and you figured out, I was actually 10%, 10% and 80%, right? Then that'll help you figure out what your net profit is going to be at the end of the day. Does that make sense?
And at 100,000, basically your cost of sales is only gonna be your cash.
Yeah.
If you pay a BAC, that's it, because you're not gonna have a fire station.
Yeah. So,
You're gonna have advertising.
so then that would be expensive, right? So then you have expense. Advertising would be expenses, photography and staging are expenses because you can take a listing. And if that listing doesn't sell, is your photographer gonna get paid?
Yes.
They're getting paid, right? They're not like, oh, you're gonna sell that house, here's your $300. So those things are gonna build into expenses, but generally speaking, yes, if you're a solo agent with no added costs, your cost of sale is essentially your market center cap.
16% if you made 100,000.
If you, yeah, yep, sure, 16 then. One of the things to work in here, if you have an admin who has a bonus structure, they get paid of something per file fee, or a cost of sale, you're using transaction coordination, right? Shannon only gets paid when you have a closing, so you could build, that would be built into your cost of sale. So once you figure out what that number is, then you split that to the buy side and your listing. And what is the percentage of your business that you want to come from both? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? Is it 70-30? Your market, your multi-year trends are gonna help you understand what your current business has been at, right? So are you more listing heavy, more buyer heavy? You don't have to keep your goals there at what you've been running. If you're not gonna keep your goals at the same ratio, then your business plan has to have an intentional way that you're going to shift in a different direction, right? So if you've been more buyer heavy, because you do a lot of internet leads, for example, right? A lot of internet leads tend to be buyers. And you want to move more listings, okay, well then, are you building a farm? Are you doing open houses and marketing to more move up buyers that maybe they are buyers, but you're also. What's in your business plan if you're trying to shift what your ratios are to go there? So if you take that number, so if our number is $100,000, 50% of that would be 50 grand of my GCI is going to come from that. Okay, and then what is my average sales price? Say it's 300,000. We're kind of seeing it all over the board in the market center lately, which is interesting. Now I'm gonna start needing a calculator. So, how many units does that break out to? If you divide 50,000 divided by, or 300,000 divided by 50,000. See, I didn't need a calculator. Nick can do math better than I can.
Threes and sixes, threes and sixes.
3s and 6s, that's what we got. Okay, so buy side, so that would be 6 closings.
Wait,
Let's see if it's
right, because that's not commission, you don't have commission.
volume, sorry. Average sales price. See, this is why I'm supposed to have it in front of me. So if you go,
Average sales price then would be 9. They should just make it 10. 10 is the average sales.
average commission,
10.
yeah. there. So if you went, okay, so if you go average sales price. I found the step I missed. And then what is your percentage of commission that you typically earn? Right. So if your percent of commission on buy sides is generally a 2.7, let's say that roughly breaks out to 10,000. Our own, then average commission, then you take that $50,000 GCI divided by 10 and we've got 5. Okay, so then you're gonna look at your ratios and say, okay, if I need 5 closings, how many people do I need to put under buyer rep to get under contract? So once you get them depending, maybe you might have some canceled deals in here. So when you look at your ratios, this is gonna be a 7. And then how many people do I need to meet? If I meet buyers, how many do I need to meet in order to get to that 7? And that number might be, let's say 10. Yeah, I have a spreadsheet that I'll share with all of you to do this work for you. So then this gets me to how many appointments I need. And then we can work on our business plan through that. Did my chicken scratch? Are we following? We're good? Okay, perfect. So then after the economic model, we work through your GPS. So GPS is 1, 3, 5, whatever you want to call them. You have your goal based on your income. And then what are your 3 priorities? And I think it's important to make sure that those priorities are lead generation focused and or business building focused, right? So if leverage is a big point for you this year, be a priority, right? To figure out what that looks like. That could be one of your 3 priorities. But making sure that that they're primarily lead generation, they're also actionable. So you want SMART goals. Everybody know what SMART stands for? SMART goals. S. Specific. M. Well, attainable, expert goals. R. Realistic. T. Timely, time-based, right? So whenever we're setting goals, we talked about this a little bit, I did this, if you noticed, during our accountability this morning, was, okay, I have a goal that I'm gonna lead generate this week. Okay, so this week, that's time-based, but how much, right? How many hours are you doing? How many days of the week are you doing it? So that you can actually track and say, yes, I can check that box. I can do those things. So if it's, I'm just gonna clean up my database, but what pieces of your database are you gonna clean up, right? Every week I'm gonna work through 4 letters, or every week I've got certain things that are to-do list items that are gonna get done to make sure that that stays super organized. So as you're working through your GPS, make sure that every one of those strategies follows your SMART. That can be hard sometimes, so sometimes you have to pivot it just a little bit, but I'm happy to work through that if you have any questions. All right, next slide. Okay, and then it's how are we gonna stick to it? Anybody made a business plan and then just looked at it the first time 6 months later? You meant, well, then you don't have to do it. Yeah.
It never failed.
You never failed at it. So, the important thing is sticking to it. One of them is making sure that it's visible, right? I don't know how many times I've seen people make this really great plan and sit together for an hour and a half, and they get stuck in a note. And then 6 months later, I go, oh, business isn't going great. I'm like, okay, well, like, where are you with your GPS? I'm like, that's internet. Well, that's probably not helpful. So let's get to it. And no judgment of how this has been done for you before. This hasn't worked. You have to figure out what works now. So how do you stay accountable to this? Is it up in your office? You have a planner. Is it the first page of your planner? So you have to look at it every single day. How do you revisit it? When do you revisit it? Back to the third one, check-in times, right? Have it for luck on your calendar, but you look at your GPS weekly, monthly, making sure that it's on track when you're making your goals. And then have accountability around them. We just started an accountability group this morning. We're meeting now for our routine meeting on Tuesdays, half an hour. It's, I think, pretty painless. If you want to tell me otherwise. And have accountability around making sure that you're reaching those goals and working to it. I think it's great when you have a buddy, somebody to help you with that, to encourage you. As I worked through accountability groups for how many years now between team and market centers, having somebody else to do some of the things you don't really love to do with you is really helpful. So you want to join an accountability group, whatever it's here. Next slide. Business planning clinic, I said it tomorrow, so if you still want to register, that is for the regional one. We also have ours, and we've been posting that link online, but we can certainly get that posted. So that people can sign up for the business plan clinic on the 28th as well. Yeah, that should do it. And there we go. Any questions?
Thank you, thank you. All right. We got another. All right. We good, you're up there. Yeah. It's a couple of- Nice,
Facebook stuff for that?
something like that. Looks like it on the website, maybe. Okay, I brought some stuff with me. I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet. I think I'm only thing standing for the month. And I know how that is. I didn't bring it up, okay, but, I did bring just some literature around personal safety, home security, maybe some things that you guys already use or that you've seen before with your clients. But anyway, so hopefully you can burn some copies, or I can send it electronically with the things that I have at my fingertips, but before we get started, I want to say thanks to Emily for the invitation here. This is a beautiful space. I've probably been in most of the buildings here. I've been here working for the police department for almost 20 years. And this is a really cool space. I was changed a little bit over the time that I've been here, but walking the door, we kept coming back here and saw the food and the break room. It made me like a lot of work. That become realtor, and you know, maybe this is a cool setting, and I can just tell from the culture, you know, you're giving away gift cards, you've got a potluck. It seems like pretty cool. Everyone is pretty laid back, and so thank you for the invitation. Emmy and I didn't go over, you know, too much of the in depth of what we're maybe going to talk about or cover, so I hope it's really interactive. Being with the police department for a little over 19 years, wore a lot of different hats, worked patrol, worked in our schools for a little while as a school resource officer, worked as a detective for a while. My last position was as one of our patrol sergeants, which was in the frontline supervisor role for the last 6 years, and then transitioned into this community relations position, which is
much more flexible, better for family, better for kids. We have 3 young kids, to be able to be around a little bit more. But it's also a great opportunity for me to lean into more relationship work, right? Like, as a police profession has changed, we had our previous chief of police, Rick Mathwick, he was really about community engagement. That was the #1 priority, and it remains the #1 priority, and that was something that was really important to me, because it brought me in this position around community relations, is about relationships and connection. And one of the things that I think we can do more of is coming to meetings like this, and really just being able to have that one-on-one kind of Q&A opportunity, and talk about things that you're seeing and you're hearing about, or things that you're experiencing, and being able to actually talk through some of that. You know, the street work out here in Roseville is pretty busy. Most of the cops go from call to call. And you don't have a lot of that time just to sit and have a conversation. And we host some coffee events. We do some other cool engagement things, but being invited to something like this is a great opportunity. Love the time that we can spend just talking to people about things. So I didn't really get, again, like a sort of a list of things to cover. So I hope that this is pretty interactive. I didn't know I'm the one standing between you and your top one. So yeah. As a realtor, I have some friends that are realtors. You know, being in other people's spaces, whether you're selling or whether you're bringing people into a home or an open house, I imagine is probably a pretty tricky thing. You don't know who's coming in, you don't know where people are going, are they looking at stuff? Are they opening, you know, different doors that they probably shouldn't be, and scoping things out from the inside and the outside. And so hopefully, you know, I can answer some questions and help some of those things out. So, at the end of the day, if, you know, whether you're buying or selling a home or with a buyer, if you go to a home and something just doesn't seem right, something seems out of place, you contact the owner or the seller and you confirm that something's just not right, please feel free to call us. Call 911, doesn't matter if you're in Roseville, next door in St. Paul, Minneapolis, some of our suburban agencies around here. The police departments should help you out, but coming and doing a walk or coming and going through things with you, answering questions and being more of a resource for you in that world. So I know doesn't happen very often, but I know in the last year, we had at least one incident where a realtor was showing a home in Roseville, not too far from here. And while going through like the main level of the house, heard something and come back. And then before you know it, there was a window that was smashing, someone was leaving the house, right? And so they thankfully got out of the house through a different entrance, you know, stood by the street, called 911, waited for us to get there. The subjects were already gone, but at the end of the day, it's about safety, it's about your safety and making sure that you're protecting yourself and your home. So, again, I could go on a spiel about a lot of different topics, but I would love to just help answer questions.
I know the one that, you know, put a minute to, something, or something.
Doing an open house, and they know that they should be their home, or if they're doing somebody like that online. Like, what are some things they face?
The question was, what are some things that realtors could have in place to protect themselves if they're showing a house or an open house?
Yeah.
I think in a perfect world, it would be having someone else there with you, another set of eyes, but I think realtors do a good job of like sort of customer servicing people, you know, like I've been going through houses before, really, you do a good job sort of like saying to people, you know, it's, again, if you can go through it with the sellers and walk through and sort of identify, you know, whether it's personal property of high value or that you think, especially like medication is another big one, we've seen a lot of people stealing prescription meds, and it doesn't take long for, if you have a house that has a couple different levels, or there's another, the realtors engaging in conversation with somebody else, for people to just kind of stick around and start putting up different closets and looking for it. So a big one is like prescription drugs. Obviously, like cash and safes, you know, those are really important. We haven't seen as much like electronics, you know, I think electronics are a lot cheaper these days, you think of TVs and other devices that are cheaper, but it's, you know, storing things, removing things, removing the opportunity, I think is the big thing for people to take stuff. And again, we've heard and seen the mass electronics, those are kind of the big things, so. I don't know if that answers it, I mean, if you're looking at a little bit more.
No, I think it's, you know, there are any. They haven't.
I think a good thing to have in place is letting a colleague know as well. And to check in with you at the start of the open house and right before it, and then, you know, I know there was this case here in Minnesota, where was it in Maple Grove or something like that, where we strategy. So that sort of obviously sends up some alarms for realtors wanting to be safe. And, yeah, I think that the buddy system is a pretty good way to do that. I think if your company or your policy allows you to carry some sort of like, way to protect yourself, whether that's like some sort of spray or, you know, I'm sort of a, I'm supportive of the thing. Well, you can model that kind of. We're doing it by the rules, you know, but we're in a tough world, right?
I've always heard it open house with you. We, obviously, the front door is open for people to come in, but I always unlock the back door in case I need to go out.
Sure.
And I carry my cell phone. I don't leave it on the counter, it's in my hand.
Absolutely. I think that's really important, whether you, it's so easy to probably, if you're there for 3-4 hours, just to kind of unload what's, if you're sitting on a chair, it's uncomfortable to have your cell phone, so a lot of people probably have it on the counter. Yes, make sure you grab it every time you get up or keep it in person. The door, or probably more appropriate to know all of those routes. I think realtors probably go through the entire space when you get there, if you're showing a house, looking on the outside too, you know, and I don't think it's a bad idea to unlock different entrances and sort of have that plan. One of the biggest things you can do to help protect yourself and other people is sort of like mentally rehearse what you would do if something happens. You know, and sort of like train that and go through it. It should take the steps of, it doesn't have to be super serious, but like we use it like the law enforcement world, like your body won't go where your brain hasn't been. So like try to get into that mentality of thinking about what you would do, but then actually like rehearse it. You know, I know it might sound kind of silly, but it doesn't have to be super, you know, extreme, but like rehearsing what you would do or something like that. Very good question.
Yeah, there's an app called Forewarn. I believe it was, maybe it was developed by a realtor a couple of years ago, a bunch of murders. And you can look up people's $20 a month. You can look up any phone number and any name, just public records, but you would not believe what's in the public records. And if someone doesn't have a registered phone number, I won't send them information. Because if you don't have a phone number, if you have a burner phone, I'm not going to spend time with you. I've told somebody, call me back with a phone number that's real. You know, we'll sit down and talk. But I think too now with the realtor, there's rules where we have to have signed agreements before we can show a property. That always entails a meeting 9 times out of 10 or something. But I like what you said about following your gut. You will know. I was a taxi driver eons and eons ago. All the old timers said, how long, it's actually young. The timers would say, you'll know. And of course, one morning, a guy gets in my car, small guy, hairs in the back of the car, everything, just like, how, and I can see it driving on the street, see an unmarked cop car here, I see a sniper on a prick. They took him out of the car, they sprayed his head into the foot of. So, I mean, his indentation of his head. Very interesting. No. That,
Did you get chased then?
no, the guy had killed a police officer. He had killed a police officer in Chicago. He was in Minneapolis here. I picked him up my taxi, not knowing who he was, and he was being followed by the police.
But you said they took him out of your car and put a dent in their car, like, how did that
No,
happen?
they grabbed him and they shoved him against my car so hard.
Right, so did they flag you down? Did they chase you? Like,
They pull you over.
They stopped.
Off the car. Oh, worry, sir.
Okay, so I started using that many years ago. I joined an open house in new construction and a guy randomly came in and went upstairs and started taking a shower. And I mean, I like.
I was wondering about with the foreclosure days.
Yeah,
Sure. That wasn't.
you'd open the door and someone would leave out the back window. I mean,
When you're showing a house, I always lock the door when you walk.
get that one and I try to.
I didn't once, I turned around and.
You know, my colleagues. Like, you think of like a criminal or like, something that
When you're-
somebody could be prosecuted for. An open house is pretty much wide open, right?
Yeah.
It's a little tricky. I mean, people's behavior can rise to the level of a crime, but them simply being there, it's a little tough, right? Like, what's against the law? Someone going to an open house and using the shower. Maybe they're, like, you could argue that it's like theft of services, because someone's paying for the water, but it's tricky, right? Like.
Well, I don't know.
Something in our legal statutes that says you can't go take a shower in a place you're invited to.
You're-
It's not a crime.
Are you gonna make dinner next or?
Have people had, situations with more squatters?
Oh,
And residents.
every day.
What is sort of like your protocol for that, if I could just.
I don't usually knock on the door or do anything, like I leave. Like I had a guy checking on property once and he went in and he's like, there's some cake in the kitchen. I'm like, that's normal, they're always a mess. But he looks, he's like, it's kind of fresh. I'm like, okay, well, all right. And then he goes upstairs and he's like, somebody's up there listening to a podcast. So I'm leaving. I'm like, okay, all right. So then I went back and I had turned off the water on the property before. And I saw the cake and I'm like, yep, that is fresh. And then I went downstairs, saw that the water was running, that somebody had like undone it. And I'm like, okay, definitely have squatters get back. So
Yeah.
that's kind of.
And I'm guessing it gets pretty tricky with some of the squatters' rights. right?
Yeah.
When we get to these places, we had just a massive situation in Roseville here, I can't remember what real estate company was involved, but where someone just refused to leave their home, like after the sale, it was a family member, like a distant family member, and it got really messy, because from like a criminal legal place, we were in this gray area, and our city attorney wanted to get involved, and we sort of had to go through this formal eviction process with the sheriff's office. It was a mess. So. Not a simple process.
Well, last year I had someone that was a client, batshit crazy. He called the police and said I had been kidnapped and was being held at a different property. And the police called to make sure I was okay and told me to go get a restraining order. to be honest, I went through the whole process and didn't finish it because then they said he had to present. Or could, and I just don't wanna ever run into that person again,
And he lives in our community.
which is really small, they live up north.
The gun.
That's kind of tricky, right? Like,
Well, what he did, that was, like you say, it's crazy, I don't know if it's against the law, but it was weird.
Anyone else questions before? Concerns, other things that you always wanted to ask? You know? My rubs the rose off. Yeah. This thing may be a real estate lot in the legislature ever. Maybe early on. Yeah, like the recent change to our business, yeah, kind of. Oh, yeah. I don't. There's not much. It's just complicated here. Well, Tom, thank you so much. We appreciate you having me. The guy I know was also a good dude, so, so thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate our partnership. We had, Mayor Rowan here last year. We thought of it as in a bit of a contentious election season, so we are. We're just not gonna have that conversation in 5 years. But, we appreciate that and, guys, I'm gonna, wait a minute, we have something, I mean, calm down.
Well, I have you all in one space, together, cornered. I want this one time. So, before I let you go, before we go do the chili cook-off, here it is, truck. On the list, I have you all. There's gonna be a little table right over here in the corner, little circular table. It's gonna have these sheets. Use your score. You're gonna write down your top 3 favorite chilies. Each chili has a card, a name. Right, and the top 3. There's also, if you want to make a KW Cares donation, a little opportunity to do so. So write down your name, and then there is a yellow-green, you can't miss it, bucket next to it. You have your chilies, and you decided you have your top 3. Fold it up, throw it in the bucket, be anonymous, doesn't matter. Each chili has a little sample cup next to it. There are spoons, 5 and scorecards as well. They're also extra if you want more. And pretty much. None. There's, last thing, right. So at 1:30, I'll take all of the entries in there. Again, at 1:30. So if you don't get it in by 1:30, count. We'll go through, order them, and we'll announce the winner. The winner gets a cool certificate, brag prize, and a $100 gift card of a restaurant of their choice. Woo!
I don't think it's gonna be like that.
Let's go eat some chili.